with every fabulous tea comes a story. Yes? And, let's think about it. What kind of a story would we like this morning? Something with a little bit of jealousy in it, some covetousness in it, maybe a little spy material in it. Hey, this sounds like this would make for a great session. I've never thought about doing one of these sessions before. Let's go ahead and leap into this. Herald is a red tea from Fujian province. Now, the name doesn't suggest anything difficult, but as I go through this story, you're going to understand why I've started this way. Now, for those of you who just got up, and I'm sure that's not most of you, but if you did just get up, I also sent you another email. And this email has 3 more pictures in it. It's worthwhile for you to open those up because the Chinese gentleman in that email is a central part of this story. And his name is Liang Junde. And I'll be talking about him because he's very, very famous in the tea world. And he actually controls the most important tea plant in Tumuguan. So Herald comes from Tumuguan. Fujian province, you remember the Wui Mountains in the north of Fujian province, and there's this one place that if you were a tourist in the Wui Mountains, you couldn't enter. It's gated. And who's allowed to enter? Well, anybody who was born in this village or anybody who is in the tea industry. That's normally the only people who get admitted. And at this gate, they're very serious. One year, we actually had the farmer all ready to meet us, and we thought everything is all clear. We took this long drive up there. We get to the gate, and the guy says, "You can't go in." I said, "Well, wait a minute. I'm with the farmer from the Wui Mountains, and the farmer from Tumuguan is going to come down to the gate. You can't go in today." And so the farmer who's with me was actually extremely angry because he'd already made a reservation and so forth. And everybody tried to shush me away and get me away from the scene because, it's always, these things are internal things that they like to take care of. And so they got me away, but I was more worried about the farmer because he was so angry because he'd made the right preparations. It turns out on that particular day, a leader of the government was in the area, so they had just simply closed it off. So this area is tightly monitored, and it didn't used to be. It used to be tourists could enter this area, and they had this bridge that you could cross. The only issue was after 3 months, they decided to close this bridge, and this bridge crossed a large ravine. And what was happening is tourists were going there and then not coming back out. What's the issue? The issue was this area of the Wui Mountains has the most poisonous snakes per whatever square measurement you want to take in the world. And so people were going in there and then just never returning. So they closed that off. They closed off access because essentially the road up into Tumuguan is a 1.5 lane road. And so if you meet somebody as you're going up, you either got to back down or they got to back up in order to get by, usually. There's a couple turnout places, but it's really remote. It's all farmers in there. It's all tea farmers. So this is the area we're talking about today. The tea we're talking about goes under several names. The Chinese name, Jinjunmei, is one name you may or may not have heard of. Very famous name. And we'll talk about the history of that in a moment. And that's where all the mysteriousness of origin and who really drove the origin will come to light. The other name that it's sometimes known as, and I think is a misnomer, is golden. Oh no, I've forgotten. Golden, it'll come back to me. Has something to do with horses. It's known by that name as well, but that ends up being, oh, Golden Steed. That's right. Golden Steed. That ends up being a mistake, I think. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why. All right. So when was this invented? What is the source of this tea? And who's responsible? When? Let's start with that. 2005. That's the magic year. Source of the tea. They actually used the main varietal within Tung Mu Guan. It's native to Tung Mu Guan. It's a small leafed varietal, and it's usually used to make Lap San Su Chong or smoky pine. So that's the source. Who did it? Now, here's where mystery and intrigue and all those things come in. Certainly, the person you saw in the photographs that you got this morning, that person, without question, without argument, is the driver of this tea. He was born in this area. He's been in the tea business since he was about 20 years old. So he's been in the business for about 50 years. And at that time, he was working at the main tea factory in Tungmuguan. And the name of that, the person who owns that, is Zhang Yanshun. So his name frequently gets mentioned as he is the inventor of Jinjumei. So instead of being black and white about this, we have to give more information. When Jinjumei, when the thought of it occurred, what was behind it? You had investors, two from Beijing, actually potentially a third one from Beijing. So there's all sorts of parts to this story, who came and approached Liang Junda, and that's our friend, the one you saw in the photographs, and said, hey, can you make another type of smoky pine that's less smoky, has other characteristics? And he's listening and he says, well, you know, of course I can do this, but this will be quite expensive, because what they wanted was all buds. So let's put this in perspective for you. So the tea you're having today, how many hand motions did it take to produce a pound? 50 to 80,000 hand motions. This is small bud varietal. Think about that, 50 to 80,000 movements to get 1 pound. And so that's why Liang Junda said, hey, this is more than you want to pay. And they said, no. We'll buy enough to go through samples. So eventually he was convinced, okay, we'll go through, because these investors, these tea aficionados, these tea investors wanted him to do something else. Did he go in with a clear idea of what he was going to do? Yes and no. The yes is he was going to do something that didn't have that smoke flavor. The no was there was going to be lots of experimentation involved in this. Was the end result an accident? That's in question, because when something is invented afterwards or when something's discovered afterwards, people say, oh, I knew all along. I had control of this and so forth. And in this particular case, probably he had a 90% idea of where he was going, and probably 10% luck helped out with the end result, because the end result was just this fabulous tea that we're going to have this morning. Am I still on?
Yeah, question just about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This gentleman, I saw photos of him in a previous class. Which tea was that? Was that unabridged?
Yes, very good question. So the questioner said, gosh, do you have an album of stock photos that you send us every so often to keep us distracted? Because it seems like you used this photo once before. And I did, with unabridged. Unabridged is the same tea, but it's not the same vintage. So let's talk a little bit more about this, because this is really important. Great question, by the way. And why is this important? Think for a minute of the drink of Mordor. Now, as you're thinking about this and you're thinking coffee, okay, that's coming into your mind. Now, let's think of a pleasant place. Let's think of, say, Hawaii, maybe. And let's think of Hawaii, maybe Kona. How about that? Kona and Mordor. Oh, God, what an ugly combination. Kona coffee. So the scandal that occurred in the US was lots of, in quotes, Kona coffee was on the market. In fact, as everybody started to measure how much Kona coffee was on the market, it was like 20 times what was actually produced. So the work of LCSers in full view of everybody. And here we go again. LCSers in front of full view of everybody in China created so much Jinjun Mei that as they added up how much there was on the market, it was more than 20 times what was actually produced. How does this relate to us? We go to the source, and every year, not every year, every other year, we get about a pound or so of this stuff. Very expensive, very hard to come by, but we get it because we have the friendship. We can call up and say, hey, old friend, we need a pound or two. And so the unabridged is an older version. The Herald is the current version. Moving forward, who took credit once this became a hit? So let me back up and actually go through the process. So Liang Junde basically did what everybody does. You pick, okay, you wither. And why do you wither? You want to get the tea buds pliable, okay? And then you actually make the tea leaves you break down the cells, the inner cells of the tea leaves by doing some sort of rubbing or some sort of crushing, and then you let them oxidize. Last step, and so in Tung Guan, the last step was always to do some sort of smoking. And it was always to apply heat, whether you were doing smoking or not. It was always to apply heat under using an open fire. what did Liang Junde do differently? He said, you know what? Let's not use an open fire. Let's do this in a special baking oven that I've designed. Use that. And again, everybody was shocked on the morning that it was completed because the investors, the head of the factory, they all tasted this stuff and it's like, oh my God, what have you created? So when you have an instant success like this, everybody wants to take credit. So the head of the factory said, yeah, I was really the driver for this. Now the investors were smart. The investors said, well, I was investor. And they didn't go further than that. So that's good because that's completely honest. Liang Junde, he was the inventor. He actually did it. And so this actually ended up being a court case because the head of the factory wanted to get more credit. And to this date, there's disagreement about this. The head of the factory lost the court case, but that doesn't, because he wanted to have full copyrights, ownership, full IP of this particular style of tea, and he lost in court. So he's still around, by the way, and he's very famous within Tumuguan. He still lives there. Liang Junde is obviously living there. They have separate facilities. And everybody publicly is very polite. You know, when they get together, they're very polite. But here's the backstory to all of that. So that's what you're having today. And it's unusual that the tea has this type of a backstory. Why does it have this type of backstory? It's a brand new invention. Yes? 2005. And in the beginning, nobody understood. Well, I think the head of the factory may have understood fairly quickly this is going to be popular. Liang Junde said, there's no way, because the cost of this is so far and above other red teas. It's so far out of bounds. Nobody's going to buy this. Answer is, that's not true. This tea became a smash hit overnight. And even though it cost a huge amount of money, it went to the market at that time at opening bell, so to speak, and that would be 2006. In 2005, it wasn't on the market. Invented, but not on the market. 2006, opening bell, about $1,000 a pound. Not inexpensive. And year by year, it's just gotten more expensive. And as the false supply has been identified and called out, that's made the value of the real supply that much more precious, that much more expensive. So Herald has this interesting story. And let's go ahead and taste this because, let's see, we're in good shape. Tea Master, let me have Bijou come up because there's so many more things to talk about, but I really want you to taste this first because this thing is incredible. So without further ado, we are so lucky today to have a very focused, I started with the wrong word, a very beautiful and focused Tea Master Bijou. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Okay.
Okay. And she will demonstrate how to brew. And then after that demonstration, I will enter the quality arena, and then you'll brew together.
Hi, 你好，早上好 Good morning. We do 金骏眉 is a red tea, so I call 金骏眉 the founder, we know long time each other. So today, so this call name is Herald, right? Yeah, this new.
Herald.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So in the Tomo factory in Wuyi Mountain, so we use the glass. So but not doesn't have this size. It's smaller. Not 功夫茶 is smaller. I think
It's 8 ounce.
8 ounces.
8 ounce, yeah.
Yeah. But we do, we change, the standard. So also we do, so 16 ounce, but grammar is other grammar, the 6 grammar. So in the village, the so factory, I do, the 4 grams, 3 grams. So it's different, standard different. Okay, we try this tea. Okay, so 我们做金骏眉 today. Okay, so temperature 呢 so everybody the focus temperature not too high, not too low, the 172, 73. Okay, yeah. John, help me please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So your setup is what you'd expect. So you've got a couple cups. You have a kitchen strainer. That's all you really need. The tray is nice because that helps you control water, but you don't have to have that. The 2 cups and the strainer are absolutes.
So associated with other kinds of teas.
This is a great question. The Chinese gentleman, Liang Junde, is he known and famous around other teas? Absolutely. Quite a few others, both black and actually a couple cliff teas as well. Again, he's been in the business. He's been in the Wuyi Mountains for so long and has such great skill that he's created quite a number of teas or been part of a team that's created quite a number of teas.
The dried leaves, very interesting color for a red tea. Not much red.
This is a great comment. And year by year, this changes, by the way. So that's why we use different names, because if you saw one year versus another year and you put the leaves out next to one another, you can get substantial differences. Why? Because the weather's different. The terroir is the same, but the weather is different. The processing is always basically the same, but it's not identical. And so you're going to get a different look and feel, and also different hints year by year. That's flavor hints. All right, you see Biju cooling down the water, dissipating the steam. We want 172. And she already has this is in package number 1, by the way. Already has the tea pre-measured. Tea leaves, shakes them in the heated glass, puts the water back into the pot because the pot is easier to control the stream of water. Pouring around the leaves, not directly on. You don't want to scald the leaf. The leaves. Yeah.
I put the different. Okay, I'm low, the water into the cup, and also right now I was judgment, the water. Yeah. So this is So color change. Look at the yellow. Timer 2 minutes 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't hide. Okay, it's a judgment water. Okay, this is very important. You put the correct flavor first. Yeah, but I learned what's before.
Yeah,
So
one.
2 minutes, 30
30
seconds.
seconds, yes, got it. Okay, so what does this place look like? What does Tumuguan look like? First off, it's the place, it's actually the border between Fujian province and Jiangxi province. It's mountainous. From a weather or microclimate perspective, you get an inflow of air from Jiangxi and you get a pushback from the coast of Fujian. So you have an enormous number of microclimes within the Wu Mountains. And it's right at this place that the air masses are meeting and creating very interesting different microclimes year by year, very different. So for example, one year we went to Tumuguan, snow everywhere. And by the way, that was a little earlier than the picking process. So it can actually snow up there during the winter. And it's at the very top, it's about 7,000 feet above sea level. It's forested. There are all sorts of animals. You get monkeys, which come out of the forest. As I mentioned before, you get snakes. When the farmers build their farms, they abut the forest. And as such, they put bamboo stakes to kind of demarcate and try and prevent animals from coming into the tea plantation. So that's what it looks like. They used to get all their horsetail pine from within the Wu Mountains, because that's the material, the source material that they use to heat for the smoky pine. And that's the smoky smell you get is from the horsetail pine. They now have to import all of that from other places, because remembering that this is a World Heritage Site, it's a natural preserve, all of that area is protected.
Needle. Okay, yeah. These are all needles.
A needle tea,
Needles.
yes. That's a bud tea. Timer's gone off.
Little bit fast speed, okay? It's really good. Let's go.
Look at that color. Beautiful color. All right. So I'm going to enter the quality arena. And as such, we remember, what am I looking for? I'm looking to ascertain astringency. I'm looking to figure out where it is in the mouth, also how deep or not deep it is. I'm looking also to see what aftertaste is. And then I'm looking for actual feeling. So you hear people use terms like cha chi and the chi of the tea. No. Let's talk about actual feeling. How does it make you feel in the body? Oh. All right. Now we're about to enter the quality.
Oh my God.
Somehow, this cup developed legs. So you have to make sure at home that you check the bottom of your cup to make sure legs aren't growing out of it, because these things can happen.
I taste first. It's amazing. I brewed correct.
Oh, you brewed correct?
I taste myself.
That's good.
Thank you.
Here we go.
It's really good. Oh my God.
Oh my God is right.
It's really good.
Okay. Take notes, remember. I definitely feel astringency. Ooh, and I already feel an aftertaste. I'm still working on the overall feeling. Wow. And I'm also focused on aroma and actual taste of this thing. You guys are in for a treat. It's your turn to brew. So get out bag number 1, labeled Herald.
So this is water you told I need so one more thing. So this water is low, okay, brewed, yeah, into the the cup, and the judgment water, yeah. So speed after speed fast, when you transfer to other cup. Okay, this is also.
Yeah, it's
right.
Really good. And so remember, the key thing to learn from Bijou is rhythm. Does that mean you have to have her rhythm? No, that's not what it means at all. What it means is her rhythm creates an evenness in everything she does. A predictability in everything she does. You need an evenness and a predictability in everything you do. You can do it at a different pace, but you need to be aware of it because that's what being present for tea is. When you are present for tea, then you are able to appreciate it more.
Voting help is outside today. I'm wondering what the experience would be of tasting this tea inside versus outside.
Oh, this is a great question. This is a really great question. Since we've been to the Wuyi Mountains so often, let me share with you what we do. The Wuyi Mountains is one of our favorite places to visit. And we always try and take a day or two more. And on one of those days, we try, especially if it's not too cold, to experience one of whichever tea we're going to have outside. And there is a somewhat of a difference in terms of your feeling because you're outside. The air is almost always really good there. Temperature is almost always really good there. And it just, and where we stay, there's beautiful gardens. So we're usually in those gardens having the tea. And it just seems to make you closer to nature in a way. Is it different inside? Yeah, to a degree. Inside, you don't have any of the distractions of nature. You don't have that same sense of being deep in nature. On the other hand, the inside experience is a really meditative experience because you're present and you're really thinking about the tea. Sometimes you can be distracted outside because you look up in the mountains and the fog is in funny shapes on the mountaintops. Because again, where we stay, we actually look at where the tea is growing, but that distance is 20, maybe 15 miles away. It's a little closer than that, maybe 12 miles away. So you can see clearly in all these strange mountain shapes that come up. It's really, when you're outside, you get a total experience that maybe in the old days, this is how they used to experience. I don't know. But so for me, that's the difference. Did I answer what was asked? Okay, good. All right. In general, this whole area is magical, and you feel it almost instantly when you get within 10 miles of the place, because they don't allow building aside from this little city where we stay. There's the main city, which is a little bit to the west and south, and that's about 8 miles away. And there's really not much building in between. There's no building allowed on the way into the World Heritage Site. And in the World Heritage Site itself, absolutely no building unless it's to repair a temple or something like that. They do have a few temples up there. They do have the place where the Scarlet Robe original 6 bushes are. And so that place, they have a little place you can sit outside and enjoy Scarlet Robe up there. So there are these places where you see the forces of man, but you don't get them the same way that you do in other places where tea is grown. Not all the other places, by the way, because remember when we were talking about Isle Mountains, you don't see much building you don't see any building in the forest. All right, so your timers went off. And the tea is very lively. Okay, and so you're going to enter the quality arena. And remember, there's no hurry to this. This is all about getting yourself present, all about really learning how to appreciate what's brought to the table. This is so different than almost any other red tea that we have. And you'll discover that as you're going through.
Guest commentary.
Oh, guest commentary. I love guest commentary.
That's bomb.
Oh,
There's
great.
such a taste in the back of my mouth behind my teeth. Tastes like the tea should taste. It is the flavor I'm looking for when I drink tea. Wow.
Oh, great guest commentary. Thank you, Kat's mom. This is a comment about the flavor that starts right behind the teeth. And it's an appreciation that it's not, you don't just get flavor as you drink it down. You get that flavor right away. And it's particularly evident in a tea like this. Great comment.
I love this tea so much. It almost tastes like sun-warmed nectarines or maybe a touch of caramel. The energetics feel simultaneously like the stress melting experience settling into a hot spring. Combined with the urge to break into song on a sunny day.
Yeah. Kat follows up with a wonderful commentary. And so we'll go from the backwards. It's like going into a hot spring and having the comfort of that with the urge to break out into song. In other words, there's a joyfulness that this tea brings. Say the first part of that again.
Yes,
I got
it tastes like sun-warmed nectarines or maybe a touch of caramel.
Sun-warmed nectarines. That actually sounds really good. Touch of caramel. That also sounds good. Let me go back to how good that sun-warmed tangerines, it was tangerines, right? Yeah, sounds. Nectarines, that's what I thought. You know, when you leave them in an enclosed space and the sun hits them, and that smell as you enter the room and the smell is overwhelming. That's the picture that Kat just drew for me. And I think that's a correct picture for this tea. Great catch.
With the first sip, the mouthfeel jumped out, a unique, wonderful weighted smoothness. The astringency also had a unique elusiveness and flow over and around my tongue and top of my mouth.
A unique elusiveness of astringency with was that a first part mellow? Weighted smoothness. I love the weighted smoothness of this because when you taste this thing, it's not ephemeral. It does have a density to it. So calling it weighted smoothness immediately evokes what this tea actually does in your mouth.
The warmed leaves had notes of malt and chocolate. The steeped leaves had floral character. And the tea water smelled like honey sweet cider on the ocean air.
Everybody I know in China, when they get a chance to taste this grade, talks about tea water having that honey-like flavor to it. This commentator also noted hints of malt and chocolate in the warm leaves, and in the wet leaves, there was what? Floral character. So look at that spectrum. Malt and chocolate, floral, and honey. This thing, incredible. And think about this a moment. So put yourself in these inventors' minds, not just the head guy, but the investors and the head of the factory, and they come in and discover this. And remember, these guys are used to doing smoky pine, and they're used to doing smoky pine of several different taste profiles, but nothing like this. This thing was electrifying. And that's why right away they knew home run. The commentator. So one of you has once said to me, and you'll remember who you are, one day when they had a red tea in here, and they were so happy to have it, but then turned around within a minute afterwards and said to me, "What's wrong with you? Why didn't you warn me I was going to go through this thing so fast?" The thing about teas like this, so in many ways, Divine Plum was like this, Omnipresent is like this. And by like this, what I mean is drinkability. It is a sense that you get it, and it's almost like you have a juice in a cup and you're just very thirsty. And you go through it really fast. And then at the end, wait a minute, that was way the heck too fast, especially for a $20 cup of tea. Why did I go through that so fast? That's the beauty of this thing. And in China, they clearly appreciate the beauty of this tea this way. They talk about, and I go back to the weighted smoothness. I love that comment because it's not ephemeral. You know, some things you drink and you can drink fast, but they truly go all the way away. This is still in my mouth. You know, by the way, very rarely does the understudy use self-control. I have relative self-control. I still have half a glass left. Yes.
There's so much life in this. The tastes are bold, but there's no heaviness during the taste or after the sip.
Life in this tea, so much of it bold, but not excessively heavy. Love this comment. This can only be this type of tea. You very rarely get such a deep balance. This tea has this deep balance. And again, going back to that weighted smoothness, this is going to be my favorite comment, I think, out of this whole session. It just keeps giving as you go through. And even as I'm in my aftertaste mode, and I'm in my aftertaste mode because I am trying to control myself, I'm feeling all of it. Yes.
Energetically, I find it's like the gravitas of the bright light energy of spring. I find both an intestinal warmth and an opening warmth in the peripheral tissues.
Great comment about energetics. The gravitas of opening spring, the a deep warmth in the intestines. This tea for me, and by the way, that's a great comment. That deep warmth is not only in the stomach or the intestines. For me, it's all over. This thing is, it feels incredibly powerful to me.
The last sessions, we had Rob Black and talked about aging and what might happen over time for taste and flavor. What would one expect with a tea like this over time to do?
Beautiful question. So if you put your magic hat on and looked into the future, the questioner is asking me, what would this tea taste like in 5 to 10 years if it were stored properly? Great question. So part of the answer is I don't exactly know, but the other part, which is the most important part of the answer, is what I would expect based on experience is the honey flavor and that brightness would continue to grow. It seems unimaginable. It's almost, I'll make this comparison. Think of the brightest star you can see, and don't be technical with me. Don't think of the sun. Think of the brightest star far away that you can see, and then think of the sun. So in the beginning, it's like this bright star that's really, really visible, North Star, for example. And then as it ages, you get more of an intensity of the flavor. And yet, what would happen in terms of the feeling that you would get in your system? In your system, you get a deeper and deeper sense of mellowness. That's what you get with this.
The tea has an aftertaste that is light and drying, that is almost minty, but not quite. And there's lots of agreement with the mintiness.
Love this comment. Aftertaste. Almost a minty aftertaste. And I concur with that. It is almost a minty aftertaste. There's something very refreshing in that aftertaste.
Another description is of that mintiness is a tingling aftertaste that keeps
good.
your mouth alive after the sip.
Love this one. So I said refreshing. This one's even better. Tingling in the aftertaste. It keeps it alive in your mouth. And I'll tell you, you will have this tingly feeling for quite a bit today. Up until you drink your next tea, you will have this tingly feeling.
Everyone's just agreeing.
Okay, great.
I think people like it.
Ah, good. I'm glad you like it. We were so excited to have this as part of a tea tasting because we've understood for a long time how special this tea is. And year by year that we get it, it comes in great. It's not exactly the same in the hint of the floralness, in the hint of the honeyness, but there always is a floral and a honey. Some years you get almost like a lychee sense in this tea. It's just remarkable. And it's really, we've been fortunate to be close in this trip and to meet these people and talk with them in a relaxed manner about how they've gone through this process. It's been a fun journey. Let's see how I'm doing here. Oh,
we're doing questions. What year was this picked?
This was picked in 2020. This is Jigasur Arsit. That's what I thought, 2024.
Amazing. And then Tungmuguan, how would one spell that in Roman letters?
How do you spell Tungmuguan? Tongmuguan. And literally, the guan means pass. So it refers to the fact that this village is right on this mountain pass or right underneath this mountain pass. And actually, there are 8 passes through the Wui Mountains. This one is the most famous because, first off, it's got a nice road on. Well, it's got a road on it, and the road's not. It's got a road on it. Period. At the very top, they have a station up there, and you can get off that station as soon as you cross into Jiangxi province. And it shows pictures and has descriptions of all the known animals in there. And by the way, do they know all the animals that are in there? No, they don't. This area is so densely preserved. It's really hard. They still do expeditions in there to catalog insects, to catalog animals, catalog plants. They still don't 100% entirely know what's in this area. So it's quite a wild area, quite an interesting area, beautiful area.
First-time caller has a question. Are we allowed to ask how you would describe the flavor, or is that top secret?
It's never top secret. Remembering, you're asking the understudy. An understudy has loose lips, and so go ahead and ask me that. Now, if you ask the tea master, I can't say it. But for me, this flavor, particularly honey to lychee like flavor, is how I describe it. I describe it as very refreshing, very fresh, very refreshing. And I use the word dense, not heavy, but dense, compacted. Those are the ways that I would describe this. This aroma, even as the first time I was entering the quality arena, it's just like it shuts down everything else. It is a showstopper. That's how I would describe it.
The nectarine commenters agrees the lychee even more so. Lychee nailed it. And also followed up with a question, how much caffeine is in this tea?
Oh, great question. So putting on my scientific hat now, how many milligrams of caffeine is exactly in this tea? Great question. And so here's how I would answer this. This has somewhere between 30 and 40 milligrams of caffeine in it. So it's an equivalent cup of coffee. So I find it's always good to do a comparison, because if I give you just numbers, it's like, oh yeah, he really knew these numbers. The comparison is what matters. If you went to Mordor and had one of those things, it would be 200 milligrams or so.
Another vote for tingling and the aliveness makes her understand the name. It's like a herald for the senses.
I love the fact you caught what I was trying to do with the name. This commentator talks about the tingling and understanding that the name actually is kind of a signal of what you're going to have, and that it's that tingling, that it's an announcement that, hey, here I am. This is darn special. I am darn special. Absolutely. Alrighty.
Amazed how it can have such honey flavor, but none of the heaviness I often associate with that.
You know, it's really interesting, and that's part of the magic of Fujian teas. This is a great comment for another reason, because we haven't talked about this, but Fujian teas are uniformly just about have that sensibility. They leave you with a special mouth flavor, but they don't make it heavy or flowing or something that you want to wash out of your mouth. Instead, it leaves you with, I need more.
The energetics have captivated all of this person's senses. They're all involved. I feel like looking into a beautiful rose while birds sing into the background.
Oh, I love this. This is an especially interesting energetics comment. Feels like looking into a rose while the birds sing all around. So what this commentator is really saying is that the energetics of this makes them happy, makes them relax, makes them one with nature. That's a great energetics comment. Terrific. All right. As usual, I am so pleased that I was able to spend this hour with you this morning with this tea in particular. I mean, I'm always pleased to spend an hour with you, and what happened this morning was fabulous because you immediately grokked it, were able to express it, and clearly enjoy this wonderful tea. So I'm wondering, what are we going to do next week? Where do we go from Herald? Well, let me think. We're entering springtime now. Maybe we should do something autumnal, like autumn colors. That's what we're going to do next week. Your responsibilities this week are to stay healthy. Look forward to seeing everybody next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.